The monkey is pretty much just Final Destination, but with a monkey, and I liked it, so let's talk about it. But as always, before we get started, if you're new here, my name is Erin, and I talk all things movies and TV, but really mostly movies, so if you're into that sort of thing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. It would be greatly appreciated, and if you've already seen the movie, let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's talk about The Monkey. So this is of course directed by Perkins, who also directed Longlegs from last year, and I'll be honest, I still haven't found the time to watch that film. I do need to go back and check that thing out. But anyways, in his newest movie, we follow two twin brothers who find a toy monkey that kills random people when you wind it up. But when this monkey pops back up in their adult life, they must figure out a way to stop it. Jumping right into the good, and the first thing I have here, and is obviously, at least in my opinion, the best part of this movie, were the kills. And these kills just got more and more absurd as this movie went on, and honestly, it was hilarious to watch. I mean, they were killing people in ways that I didn't even know was possible. They quite literally exploded someone in the most unexpected way possible, and if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and for me, that was the funniest moment of this film. A lot of the kills were just so ridiculous, and honestly, I didn't know how to react to half of these things when I saw them on screen, but I will say I enjoyed every second of it, and it added an element of fun to this movie as well. There was a lot of over-the-top blood, gore, and just tons of guts, and this film wastes no time getting into the killing of this film. I mean, this thing quite literally opens up with a pretty gruesome death, and it's absolutely hilarious in its absurdity. And as I said before, that's what made this movie feel like a Final Destination movie, but instead of fate kind of controlling all the deaths like a Final Destination movie, it's a monkey in this case. So if you like Final Destination, then you are going to absolutely love this movie and have a ton of fun with it, because they are very similar when it comes to taking people out. Next up for the good is the humor. Now, obviously the kills were a big part of the humor in this movie. I got a majority of my laughs out of some of the kills in this thing, but outside of that, this thing also had some pretty good dark humor as well. Now, obviously this movie had plenty of dark moments, and with each of those dark moments, they immediately made a joke out of it, and usually this doesn't necessarily work all the time. Sometimes it can feel repetitive or just get annoying to some viewers, but since this movie had a fairly lighthearted tone and never took itself too seriously, it worked for this film in my opinion. Now, did all of the humor land? No, but a majority of it did in my opinion, which led to a pretty funny movie overall. And finally for the good, I have Theo James. He got to play twins in this movie, and I think he did a solid job. One of the twins' names was Hal, and this was our main character in this movie, and he was a more serious character who was just a dad trying to spend time with his son in his broken family. And then we have the other twin that he played, whose name was Bill, and you could just tell he was having so much fun with this role, because in my opinion, he was much funnier as Bill than he was Hal, because Bill was a more unserious character in this film, especially as adults. However, he did spend most of this movie as Hal, since Hal, as I said before, is the main character of this movie, and even though I think he did a good job in that role, there are also some things that they did with his character that just weren't all that great in my opinion, but I'll get to that in just a second. Moving on to the so-so, and the only thing I have here is this toy wind-up monkey itself. Now, for me, this part of the film felt very underwhelming, because this whole entire movie revolves around this toy monkey killing people, and there just wasn't much behind how this toy monkey works. Essentially, you wind up this toy monkey and it bangs its drum, and after that it chooses a random person to kill in the most absurd way possible, and that's about it. It doesn't really go into explaining the how or why this monkey does what it does. It just does and works like that. It also doesn't really explain why this monkey can't be destroyed. It just can't be, and if you do, it just continues to pop up and follow you around until I guess you wind it up again. And I guess it was fine for what it was, but when I was watching the trailers for this movie, it just felt like there was going to be a lot more behind this toy monkey and how it works, but nope, what you saw in the trailers is pretty much the extent of how it works in the movie, and that was just kind of underwhelming for me. And finally, getting into the bad, and the only thing I have here is just pretty much everything outside of the humor and the absolutely absurd absurd kills in this was just kind of dull, in my opinion. They tried to have this subplot of passing down generational trauma in your family, and also that death is inevitable to us all, and I get that they were trying to do this to add substance to this very unserious movie, but at the end of the day, all that just felt empty for me, and all I wanted to do was get back to those hilarious, absurd, over-the-top kills, because that was the best part of this movie. And when this film really leaned into that comical, unserious tone of this whole entire thing, that's when it was at its best. But overall, I enjoyed this movie. If you come into it wanting a good laugh and absurd kills, then you are going to have a great time with this thing. But if you want a deep, thought-provoking story, then this probably isn't for you. But at the end of the day, this is a fun time, so I would recommend it. Those are my thoughts on The Monkey. Be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comments, and as always, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, get your Eazy Apparel at shopeasyapparel.com. God bless, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.